terrorists, right? I did a live video space. I walked around. I let the Republicans on stage question the protesters. They had a good dialogue. Miss Lou did. Miss Lou had conversations with them. As a matter of fact, she's up here. It was not like crazy extreme. It's being perceived that way, right? People are going in and instigating fights so they can get video clips, right, and post it to justify what I would say is an emerging police state. That's what I would say. That's just my opinion.
Hey, Diligent, can I say one more thing and then I'll drop down my comment? So it was about the Qatar or Qatar. I can't say it like that last guy, but
listen, if you say guitar, then you're allowed to say Qatar.
All right, cool. Just real quick, I don't obviously. It's a strategic ally. As far as who they are, they're not in NATO. So if Qatar bombs, let's say Canada, we'll have to demolish Qatar. Now we do have Turkey is in NATO. They're a Muslim country and been known for terrorists and whatnot. So I'm not concerned about the terrorist part. I think it's just totally strategic with them, and they did invest a lot of money into our economy, which will, hopefully help in their long run. And, those people building all those airplanes in the future for them, it's going to help those families and our economy. So I do like that side of the, they're investing in our country. So, yeah, if you could come here and train, and our military will make sure that nothing nefarious goes on, hopefully. And
for 9/11?
Yeah, well, again, no one really knows still what happened with 9/11. That's still up for debate, and I haven't seen the report. It's still classified. So I know Kash Patel is supposed to release it, but we still don't even know. People have theories, but again,
like he did with the Epstein Black Book.
Right. But seriously, our government has not declassified that report. We don't even know really what happened.
On a promise to release that.
Didn't Kash Patel say he was going to create a declassification office?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Documents out it all day. What happened to that? Did we all forget about that?
Well, right now we're getting a lot of documents out of Russiagate stuff. So, and I know the JFK stuff. There's been a lot of stuff.
How many people have been arrested? How many people have been arrested?
3. There's been 3. John Bolton's indicted. Yeah, John Bolton's getting indicted
I think you're conflating terms. I said arrested. I didn't say indicted. I said how many people have been arrested?
Well, you have to get an indictment first.
So let me help you. 0. That's how many people have been arrested. The number is 0. Let me ask you this. Has Letitia James, has she been arrested?
She's been indicted.
Has she? Let me ask you one more time. How many criminals from our government have been arrested? Can anybody help him? Can anybody on stage help him?
Yeah.
Zero.
There we go.
Right. Yeah, but I'm not defending that. I'm not defending that. I'm not defending.
How many did Biden have arrested by now?
Well, if we want to do what Biden did, then it would be chaos in America. If we want to just start throwing all these people in,
do you feel like it's? Well, hold on. Do you feel that it is less chaotic in America than it was in 2021 right now?
No. So we do things. So the Republicans, which I don't agree with this,
they always asking you a question. Does it feel less chaotic now than it did in 2021?
To be honest with you, 2021 was chaotic for me. Because they were throwing people in jail. My opinion, the government was a lot worse condition coming in to Biden.
Does it feel less chaotic, in general?
Gas is cheaper for me. There's a lot of things better, but there's...
I asked you. We're talking...
What about food?
Well, as far as define your definition of chaotic.
Wait a second, though. Eggs have gone down. I'm like, does it feel less chaotic? Bro,
in what respect? With the government or my life?
Here, let me try it one more time.
Can you spell it for me?
Hold on. Let me try it one more time. Do you feel more or less uncertain about the future today than you did in 2021?
I feel the same. I never trusted the government. Probably the last 20 years.
So you feel the same amount of uncertainty?
Yeah, I feel the
That's
same.
honest. That's honest.
No,
There you go.
2015, I started, really digging into all the corruption and conspiracy. So I've always had an open mind about everything. I don't necessarily support Donald Trump. I don't support a party. I support truth and what affects me and my family, right? So I'm not going to agree with everything Donald Trump does. Of course, I'm not a cult member. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he does. Right, I don't agree with that. I think we should go back to the gold standard from
Are you
1913.
good? But it sounds like you're on board with federal policing, though, right?
I am with immigration. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I want
And
all legal
if
immigrants
they're
out.
arresting citizens, you're okay with that?
What depends? Citizens, if they did a crime or come here illegally, yeah, I want you arrested and I want you removed from the
So
country.
you're okay with the federal police arresting people for local
what?
crimes?
No, absolutely not. It's a federal crime. Of course not. Of course not. But what I'm saying is, if we just
But they're arresting people on warrants. So that's enforcing municipal law.
okay. So do you want Donald
You
Trump
said
to
that they
do
were
what?
doing warrant checks.
Warrant checks for what? Regarding what warrant checks?
They are arresting people, and if they have outstanding warrants, they're putting them
you
in
go to
jail.
Correct. If you have a warrant for your arrest, you should
So
go to jail. I
that
don't care
is the
who you are.
federal police enforcing municipal law, correct?
No, a warrant would come from
If
the
a
local
federal
and state.
police officer is arresting somebody for a municipal warrant, a municipal law, then they are enforcing municipal laws. Can we agree on that?
They're enforcing federal law.
What state do you live in? How many National Guards do you have in your state?
I live in Georgia, so we don't have no problem with government. I'm in a deep red state. We don't have
I'm in
any of these
Texas.
issues.
I'm in Texas.
You're right.
I
We
get
don't
you.
have those issues.
But they're still sending them to Texas, even though we have 22,000
You talking about
National
illegals
Guard,
or
state
American
troopers.
citizens?
No, the feds. They're coming up in here.
Feds to help with what? Illegal immigration, right?
I guess.
Yeah, that's a federal crime coming into the country illegally.
We have, bro.
And
This
if you
is
have,
federal.
listen,
monthly half
let
the
me
people they
say
did
that,
under the Biden
Rilla,
or under the Obama.
Rilla,
administration.
No, I get it.
let's
We
just
don't
say-
got federal.
Hold on,
Go ahead.
Rilla, hold on. Let's just say that you were tanner than your profile picture appears to be, right? And then they stopped you to see if you had your green card. And instead of not having your green card, you were a U.S. citizen, but you had a year's worth of unpaid parking tickets, and the city had issued a warrant for your arrest. You're going to be okay with ICE locking you up and throwing you in jail?
Not if I have proper documentation to be here. Absolutely not. I would sue them.
So people are being arrested for back warrants when ICE is making their stops in these cities. This is what I'm talking about. Federal law enforcement.
Oh, okay. I
enforcing-
misunderstood. I thought you meant that they were legal.
Now that we have an understanding,
Sure.
are you okay with ICE or federal law enforcement, for that matter, making arrests at that level?
No, absolutely not. I agree with you on that. If they're illegal, yes. But they're not illegal citizens, that's wrong. I totally agree. I thought you meant illegal immigrants. I don't care who arrests them, get them out. So they're illegal, and that's a federal crime. And then if you're gonna, all right. Well, hey, anyways, guys, I gotta go. But thanks, Diligent. I just want to give my the Qatar comment and how things were in Atlanta, just so you guys know. But thank y'all. I will keep listening and keep doing a good job, Diligent. I appreciate y'all.
you, brother. Yep.
Yes, sir. Anytime. Yep. See you guys. Bye, y'all. Y'all have a good weekend.
Go ahead, Jafar.
Good morning. Appreciate you having me up. I usually just listen to you, but it's the first time I've come up to talk. I'm Lebanese, by the way, so I'm an Arab. Before I get into what I'm going to talk about, I kind of want to just tell your listeners a little bit about Qatar, because I don't think you guys really understand what kind of country this is. They are a tiny country with a lot of natural resources. They are between 1.5 to 2.5 million in the country, with 8 to 9 million foreigners. These guys can't even go to the bathroom by themselves. They're not going to be able to control America. They have no authority in that kind of way. They've always been the piggy bank of America. For example, in 2012, when the Syrian revolution began, by the way, you can fact check anything with grok. In 2012, they and Saudi Arabia, the other piggy bank of America, they funded the rebels in Syria. And it was called Operation Sycamore by the CIA. Obama funded them billions. And this is another fact. So Qatar and the Americans, the American government, have always been in bed together. They've always used them for money. They've always used them for regime change to fund these terrorists, to fund the Brotherhood. The president of Syria now, the one with a powerful past that Trump said he's a head chopper. He was funded by Qatar. But who told Qatar to fund them? The Americans, because the CIA, again, Operation Sycamore 2012 in Syria, where they were funding Julani, the number one ranked terrorist in the whole world with a 10 million bounty on his head, is now the president. Anyway, in the end, Qatar has no authority. They're a tiny country with tiny people. They can't build anything from themselves. That's why their foreigner count to the nationals is what? 4-5x. They're a nothing country. And sorry if the Qatari guy is still up here, but they're pathetic Arabs. All they've been doing is funding terrorists.
Well, let's sure that wasn't MI6.
Yeah. Again, I'm Arab, so yeah, I'll stop. But yeah, Qatar is not a country that you Americans are. It's not a boogeyman. They're nothing. They're just a piggy bank. That's all.
Well, it's the Muslim part and the like the Hamas association. I think that people get hung up on, right?
Well, in terms of Qatar funding, they had to. There was an obligation, and Israel allowed it to go through because where else is Gaza getting their money from? It's a concentration camp. Who else is going to be funding them? They're not going to let Iran fund them. Qatar had to be funding them because they're the mediators. They're the American puppets. And they are the American puppets. And they have been.
Isaiah, you want to comment? You and
I don't know. Can you hear me? I don't know what's been going on.
I can hear you now. Yeah.
No. Actually, I've been enjoying this, man. Peace and blessings to the space. I'm really. This is making me go back to a long time ago, and I'm getting a pattern here. When I was in the military, it was about Chiquita Bananas and getting control of Grenada and getting to the corporations wanted us to go, show our behinds in Latin America for Iran-Contra, cocaine, blah, blah, blah. Now, in the 90s, it was about weapons of mass destruction, Cheney, oil, destruction, Halliburton, make a lot of money. I know I did. I'm guilty about it, but I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to be very transparent. I'm going to get back into that portfolio because here's the pattern now. What does Israel have to lose with Qatar getting up-to-date fighters that are already there in that base? But if it goes wrong, then they'll have to say, look, they're not at the level of play as American fighters. That's how we get into the Iran war. You say, I don't see any evidence of destruction and death from Iran bombing Tel Aviv. I don't see any pictures of death or children or bodies out of Qatar from the bombing from Israel. Hey, art of the deal. I was wrong. Trump wins. He goes, Bibi gets what he wants to knock off what? What have we had over the years? We had what? Lebanon, Kuwait, maybe Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, all of the threats, Yemen, the Houthis, all of them knocked off the table. And only thing that's standing that Israel wants, and maybe Trump too, because you can rebuild it and put another Trump Tower there, is Iran. And we've had problems with Iran for a long time, and now Bibi never has to stop being a war president. He never has to deal with any of his corruption because now we'll have troops on the ground by 2028 on to 2040 fighting Iran, where Qatar is paying both sides. Isn't that brilliant? Hey, man, investing in fear. I land because it's all about real estate. And if you need hotels and you need pedophiles, you need hotels around the world to traffic children that are going to be orphaned in these wars. That's the ticket. More slavery around the world. And let's just bring in Somalia and Haiti and Memphis too, by the way. And just as I get out of here, I really want to tell you, Spaceman, I really want to say, you know what? Shockingly, there are millions of black people that hate black on black crime too in Memphis. It's the #1 crime rate city in the country. So yeah, you're not going to get any pushback, man. No, we're tired of that shit too. We want the pedophiles and the rapists and the killers and the robbers and the thieves and the murderers out of our community too. So no, yay for Memphis because it was #1 and Washington D was #7. And I don't think there's going to be a really pushback from the so-called black community in Chicago either. They want the peace, bro. But hey, keep your eyes out for human trafficking. Israel will win. Iran finally is toppled. And we got more human trafficking for the next 100 years. Way to go, Trump.
Yemen and Lebanon are still around, so Israel still has them to do it.
So you're gonna need fighters, and if it looks like, help me here, Colonel, if it looks like they're not getting the Top Gun job done, then you're gonna have to like bring in more American fighters that can really get the job done. So that's how you walk the American.
I get what you're saying, but the Americans sent aircraft carriers to Yemen, and the aircraft carriers left, and they made a peace deal with the Yemenis.
That doesn't make money. Aircraft carrier, that doesn't make money. You need drones. You need to drop bombs. You need to buy fuel. You know that doesn't make money alone.
They can't do the logistics, and that's the deal. At the end of the day, Qatar can't do the logistics, but what they can do, like coming into the United States and having a base, what it gives them is a perimeter of legitimacy, and I think that's what they're looking for in a peace deal. Now, at the end of the day, Diligent is probably going to get kicked off of X because Elon Musk spent at least $1 billion promoting Asian anime, and we were talking about the good looks of women just a minute ago. He didn't even mention Asian women in this thing. And oh, by the way, that's the predominance
I
of the
actually
planet.
have a proclivity to Asian women. But I don't need to mention that because
I'm not trying to draw you into
that.
I'm not trying to draw you into
Japanese women are the creme de la creme. I love the submissive culture. So I'm just saying, like, I'm just being honest here. Like they already silently check boxes, but when we're doing like a visual comparison, like we did on Spaces the other night, I'm sorry, man, but the Jewish women, they won compared to the Muslim country women. I'm sorry. Self Medical is listening to me somewhere, very turned on by what I just said.
Colonel, am I wrong? Wasn't the whole purpose of that airbase in Qatar to be prepared for Iran-Israel conflict?
Yes. No, it's not to prepare for.
I mean, but be prepared.
AbrahamShield.org. Look at that.
Hold on, Coyote. I wanted the Colonel.
So at the end of the day, there's a perimeter here that President Trump is giving to Qatar, who is a client state, as somebody was up here speaking earlier said very well, and it was very well spoken. They are a client state, but you know who else is? Israel. Israel just has a lobbying firm and a government arm in this same cabal with a much stronger hold. So right now, President Trump has the cards, and the way he's playing them is he is giving them a perimeter of legitimacy. If you think that Qatar got struck without some notification when the guy that they killed was the guy. Listen to me for a second.
Oh, we greenlit that shit all day. You all know that. We greenlit.
Would you allow me just to finish? When the guy that they killed was the guy that was the handler at the same time. They were cutting ties, and what they were doing was they were cutting off the links between them and Hamas, and that was a signal, a huge signal, and Qatar knew that happened. Part of that payment is to give Qatar the perimeter of legitimacy on the national stage. That's the play that happened there. Now, as far as Iran and Israel, certainly there's a greater Israel project, and that's where Benjamin Netanyahu is. But I believe that he is now cut off, like completely cut off, and we should be worried about terrorist strikes and things on the nation, because we know that the most vicious people on earth are not the Israelis, It's not the Jews. It is this cabal. And when this cabal...
who is the cabal, Colonel?
Well, it's the globalist nationalist.
It's the globalists. Who is behind 9/11 and JFK and the USS Liberty?
Get your resistance.
Let's hold on. We're not going to do the whole "it's the Jews."
Yeah, I get it, but to listen to somebody sit there and say, "No, Israel would never attack the United States. It's clearly the Iranians that are the threat."
Israel.
After 30 years of being told by Netanyahu that Iran's on the brink of nuclear weaponry and they're going to attack.
I'm sorry,
everybody.
Diligent. I am truly sorry. I'm truly sorry. I was trying to.
I told you, man.
I got something for you.
Listen, you're the one that used the word cabal. I told you, like it's
time
we got to come up with a better word.
Around the obvious
it is an invitation. It's a hyperbolic. Well, here's the thing. It's hyperbole, right? It's a hyperbolic term. It invites hyperbole in response. That's why I try not to use it, because it's not something that's easily defined. People use terms like that. They're ambiguous and generalized and can be used to fit whatever narrative or agenda they want. That's the same reason why I have a problem with the term domestic terrorists, right? It's not because, I like the people who say they're Antifa, right? It's not because of that. It's because when we deem groups that are amorphous and they have no clearly defined structure, and there's a lot of subjectivity and generalization when it comes to defining them, that means that anybody can be described as that. Anybody who's dissenting, anybody who they deem to be against the government. It doesn't matter how authoritarian that government is. Now, if you are seen to be a domestic terrorist, well, then they are illegal in seizing your assets and throwing you in jail. And they're even talking about suspending habeas corpus now. So I'm just giving you an example of the dangers of using generalized hyperbolic terms, because people, Ian here, I'm not trying to disparage him. He has a problem with the Jews, apparently, or maybe not. I'm not speaking for him, but he definitely has a proclivity against, them, but what he perceives them to be doing. So I feel like whenever you use ambiguous terms, they can and will be used against you at some point in time. That was my point.
It's fair enough, Diligent, and as we said, and I'll shut up, but before I do, just a reminder, we have been labeled as a cabal by Mark Levin. That's where we're at, right? Jew. So I'm 100% with you.
You're including me in that. I don't feel like he labeled me. You keep saying we, and you said me earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're labeling me as the cabal. The Charlie Kirk. People who were raising questions on Charlie Kirk were part of a small cabal, and then he did label, and I included you in this, and this is not fair because he didn't call you out by name. But
Don't put me in a box.
He called out Candace Owens and Tucker and other people who I respect their opinions as truth seekers, and just for that, not that anyone is perfect, not yourself, not myself.
I thought it was
obviously.
Tucker Carlson, was it not? Is it not?
Right, he's Tucker Carlson now, right?
Some Pam Bondi.
Hey guys, I heard a funny one today. Just to add to this conversation really quickly, I heard a major broadcaster, today go on a rant that said, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Why does absolutely everything have to be about Muslims and Jews? I'm sick of it." I thought it was pretty funny.
Ian, I feel like I cut you off and spoke on your behalf. I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't hate anybody based on their blood, nor their race, nor their gender, nor even their sexuality, for what it's worth. I mean, people are people, and they're welcome to do what they do. I do hate patterns of awful, evil behavior. And I find it really curious that Mark Levin would suggest that it's somehow hateful or anti-Semitic to say, hey, look at all of these people in positions of power that the conservatives complain about that are destroying America. We could talk about the Biden regime. We could look at who Biden's kids all married, who Kamala Harris married. We could look at the Secretary of State under Biden, Tony Blinken. They're all Jews. And if I suggest that, and then I say, hey, Mark Levin, you want to complain about the Biden administration and, for example, the border? Well, is it weird that Secretary Mayorkas, the guy who was the head of the border under the Biden regime, is also a Jew who prior to that role worked at the Hebrew Immigrant Association that was aiding migrants across the border? He was on their board. This group, their sole purpose was to flood the country with migrants, and they then take that person and they're like, that's the guy we want in charge of the border. And then I look at these things and I'm like, wait a second, Mark Levin, do you care to notice that a lot of the LGBT ideology, a lot of the mass migration issues, the funding behind it, the politicians that are in support of it, along with all these other things that we complain about, you know, the woke agenda. If we look at the top of almost every one of those currents or those streams, we notice this strange pattern that Mark Levin would say that it's anti-Semitic and hateful to notice. And that's really weird. And we can look at the current administration and who they're in bed with. And the prior guy wanted to say, well, obviously we need to fear the Iranians because they're going to build this dangerous situation. The Iranians, yeah, the group that we bombed on behalf of Israel. And we did so for no strategic benefit to the United States, for what it's worth. We did so against the very suggestions of Donald Trump, who said he was going to be the president of peace, who then said, Netanyahu, do not go to war with Iran, whatever you do. And then Israel was like, well, middle finger to you. Here's a bunch of rockets. And then when Iran came back, Donald Trump said, well, I'm not going to help you. And then 12 days later, he dropped a bomb out of a B-2 bomber, the most expensive thing in the United States military. And then, do you know what he did? Like 2 weeks later, he came out and he's like, maybe we should give some of these, our most expensive assets, over to Israel. And then we have the audacity to be told that it's Qatar, that it's Iran that's behind these problems.
But what do you think about Qatar? What do you think about Qatar getting a base?
I mean, look, I think Qatar is a shrug off the awareness and attention that it was given, the fact that all of these prominent Jewish and Zionist influencers out of the blue one day all decided, Mark Levin included, that it's all Qatar, folks. Quickly pay all attention to them. Don't listen to these anti-Semitic people that are giving all these very reasonable accusations of Jewish supremacy. Don't pay any attention to them. And it's really frustrating.
So you think I shouldn't have a problem with Qatar establishing a base in Idaho?
No, I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to take offense to. And for what it's worth, Diligent, like your comments there around the current administration, who, oh, by the way, as a real quick aside, I totally agree with what you're suggesting about the use of MAGA and the use of a strong conservative president who's going to fix up crime and take care of terrorism. It's the exact same playbook that ... was utilized by George W. Bush and resulted in the Patriot Act. Weird. And how did we get the Patriot Act? Was it 9/11? Was it Jews in Israel that were behind that? I could make a very good argument that, in fact, it was.
That's not what my spaces are for.
And look, my point is just that problem and then the solution that follows that was premeditated. The problems are there to serve as a catalyst for the solutions that they have envisioned. And for what it's worth, Diligent, let's think about this at a macro. Over the last 10, 15 years, the border was flooded with 25 to 30 million migrants under Biden alone. To give you an idea, folks, that's 25,000+ people every single day. Easter, New Year's, Christmas, Halloween.
I saw it firsthand. I went down there and reported live.
Yeah, here comes 25,000 migrants on Halloween, all conveniently dressed in, what do you know? Wow, garb that might have been given to them, provided to them, transportation, food. This is not an accident. It's not those videos Fox News showed you of a bunch of people walking like they're back in the Roman army walking across the border. This was orchestrated with flights, with vessels, with ships, with cars, with all kinds of other things. 25,000 people a day. That's a large state school worth of people. Imagine something like Penn State University. It's that many people every couple days coming across the border. Now, why do I bring that up? Problem, and then the premeditated solution. What is the problem? Mass migration. What's the premeditated solution? A push of a digital ID, of a massive surveillance system, of a federalized law enforcement system.
Hegelian dialectic.
Of course, all at the benefit of who? A tiny group of people that want to control not only everything you do and go, but literally everything you think. And why? Because they control all the media, they control all the tech, and yes, the tech that's being rolled out to build that.
I think that I would argue, I think from my perception, and maybe it's because I'm just I almost would say that the Israel or the Jewish, the anti-Semitism thing is just a shield for the powers that be within our own government, the establishment, and the intelligence class to enforce measures of control under the guise of virtue, the same as we saw it before, just wearing a different face now.
No, that's exactly right. And who's going to build the police state? It's going to be Palantir. Who's at the top of Palantir? Alex Karp. Yes, he's Jewish. Who funded that entire project? Is it Peter Thiel? Yes, it is. What else did Peter Thiel do just a decade prior? Was it Carbine 911? That's also a law enforcement and basically database building tool. Is this the same guy that funded a lot of, in fact, Palantir and their COVID database rollout? And oh, by the way, on Carbine 911, who was on the board of that company? Was it Ehud Barak, the literal former prime minister of Israel, is in bed with Peter Thiel, the guy funding J.D. Vance, who's now the sitting vice president and is a bullet away from
what's weird, though, is because I kind of feel like, you know what's so weird about that dichotomy is that my gut tells me from the scrubbed timeline and just from his genetic makeup from looking at the dude, I would almost argue that Thiel is like of the Nazi heritage almost, right? Like he comes from that timeline. So what a weird marriage of like a Nazi and a Jewish person enacting this kind of crazy weird surveillance state, and he's obsessed with the Antichrist. Isn't that weird? It's kind of a little bit
like
of
Revelations 2, Revelations 2.
A little weirdness.
Diligent in the 30s, there were plenty of Jewish people who turned on their own and sided with Hitler. So, there's a lot of. I'm not.
Well,
this is not.
Ms. Lou, out of curiosity, why do you think that might?
But I will tell you.
Miss Lou, hang on. Why do you think, Miss Lou, there were 100,000 plus Jews that fought for the National Socialists? Why do you think that might be?
Well, there you go. But I do want to say.
Can you answer the question?
Why do I think that they fought for the National Socialists?
What do you think? What do you think? Well, weren't they?
Because I think that, first of all, there are a lot of Jews who follow socialism / communism. And some of that is coming out of Europe.
Why would
because
communists
they felt
fight with the National Socialists?
Because communism and socialism are the same.
No, National
same sides
Socialism
of the
is
coin.
the antithesis of communism.
Okay, yeah.
No, you don't get to say, you're either ignorant or you're lying. It's one or the other.
Maybe she doesn't know, right?
As literally the antithetical political structure to communism. You sound like a crazy person.
But socialism and communism have a lot of similar characteristics.
First of all.
But hold on. Don't disparage her personally. If you want to disparage what she's saying or whatever, that's fine. But I can't let you attack Miss Lou on my stage, bro. You gotta be respectful up here.
Diligent, who was that who attacked me? I didn't even hear him.
He wasn't attacking you. I think he was just.
Who was it? Who was it?
It's Ian.
Miss Lou, I'm happy to.
Ian. Okay,
Ian. Because
I wasn't sure. Ian, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure who was speaking. I'm trying to address you directly and politely. What I'm trying to tell you, regardless of National Socialists, okay, yes, they are not directly communists. But I will tell you that a lot of Jewish people turned to communism because they felt it was an antidote to fascism. Okay, there were a lot of people who came out of Germany.
Prior to fascism, which rose.
Yes, it was. I'm just trying to tell you, there were Jews who came out.
We're getting derailed here anyways. This has nothing to do with anything up in the Jumbotron, except for maybe the police state part, which is not what we're talking about, because that's happening now and not in
Diligent, if I can, and I'm not going to push back on her, but rather to suggest that...
Well, let me just say, I think there's something that's happening here. Isn't Ashkenazi Jew, isn't that ethnicity, isn't it native in part to Germany, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then just because someone's ethnically Jewish doesn't mean that they necessarily adhere to Orthodox Jewish ideology. Is that correct? So then there's probably a conflation that's occurring here with people who are ethnically or Ashkenazi Jew when it comes to residents in Germany at the time of the war who may have supported the Nazi Party because they were ethnically Jewish, but they might not have adhered to traditional or Orthodox Jewish ideology or religion.
Diligent. It was
Zionism.
It was Zionism.
Hang on. Miss Lou, hang on. The answer to the question is that communism, it was a precedent to fascism. Fascism rose as that which was antithetical to the communists, which were coming out of Russia, which were the Bolsheviks, which were Jewish, for what it's worth. Now, the reason that there were plenty of Jews, 100,000+ that fought with the National Socialists, is because those individuals had fought in World War I with the Germans, and Adolf Hitler said basically to them, if you stand with Germany and with nationalism against global communistic totalitarianism, then you should stand alongside us. Now, the reason that I bring that up is because it shoots a very strange hole in the entire history, as it's taught by the media, around this part of the world and of its history. And that's very specifically done to lie to everybody and to conflate what it was that was happening back then. Those people stood with Adolf Hitler and the National Socialists because they were against communism. And that's why I pushed back on this idea that communism is National Socialism.
And Ian, you forgot, you brought up the most important point, which you just said, which is correct, is they felt that they would be protected.
Yes, under the lead of a nationalistic system.
If they went with the fascist system.
Let's pivot back to the topic, though. Go ahead, Coyote.
Oh, that's.
So, well, I'll get integrated back there. I would say the ideology is a big part of that, Miss Lou, and I understand. And I did not know that she knew that.
I just busted out with the fact that we bring up Qatar and like people cannot just help but make it about the Jews somehow.
So that's always going to be the thing I said. Okay, so I've been noticing this a lot lately. So, as much as, you know how it is, like you go talk about APAC or foreign aid and stuff. But if you go look on the timeline, radical jihad, nuclear Iran and stuff, like that's and I don't understand that. It's like why aren't them people looked at like shitty, just like this other one? It's the polarization. I know that, and I think
they definitely are looked at shitty by some, right? Are they not?
I mean, look at. I don't want to say their name or her name.
If you are a paid shill of any country, I look with you with the equal amount of disdain, whether it's Qatar or Israel. I'm still looking at you with the same lack of respect. Okay, I question your integrity if you're taking dollars from a foreign country to propagandize Americans. Period.
100%. Pam Bondi and Cash Patel, but that's the thing, dude. It's like
Susan Wiles.
Susie Wiles.
Yeah, this is what it confounds me, right? Is people who are holding either side equally. Like, you should have. There's such a huge pro-Israel faction within the Trump administration, right? Like, we agree on that. But what's weird is that Susan Wiles lobbied on behalf of Qatar, who is like their sworn enemy. So how does that work unless the entire thing is a fabrication meant to keep the whores arguing while the establishment plays both sides and does what they want? That's the conclusion that I've drawn from it.
100%, dude. I agree with Ian's factual data. You're factual data driven, and that's the whole thing. But I'm just my verbiage would be of it. Like, my thing is the ideology.
You right now, Coyote. How much?
Shit, I don't get no offers for none of that, and I wouldn't take it anyway.
I doing the $700, not $7,000, but $20 is $20. So I get it.
No, I mean it's crazy though, because those people like literally come over here, and I look on Cam Higby's fucking post or whatever, and I scroll, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I know these fucking people saying great job
in here.
I know. Anyway,
who are not in here to defend themselves.
I'm glad you wouldn't do that, though. I'm glad that everybody in here wouldn't do that. I'm glad that everybody in here are the ones that did stick around, because if you look around, it's just what is the truth? This is the truth. It's not like something that's going to let like one person dictate your life and never be wrong or whatever, and all this trust the plan shit. Anyway, I did want to touch on something. It's called it's very extremely important.
Well, I can give everybody an update. Pete Hegseth at 6 o'clock made this statement, a clarification, quote, "The U.S. military has a long-standing partnership with Qatar, including or Qatar or Qatar, if that's what you want to say. I still like Qatar, like guitar spelled similarly. Qatar, including today's announced cooperation with the F-15 QA aircraft, Qatari aircraft. However, to be clear, Qatar will not have their own base in the United States,
nor anything like a base. We control the existing base like we do with all partners. Laura Loomer says, nobody wants the funders of Hamas in America being trained to fly fighter jets on U.S. soil. A jihadist in a suit is still a jihadi. It's a threat to our national security. So, disagrees.
Yeah, but that's Islamophobic. That's Islamophobic, right? Like, is that they don't hit as hard though? No, but I would like to say, so HR 4779, me, Destiny, and Rance have been tackling it. It's something, man. I sent it to you, Noxie, and yes, I did just put it up in the jumbo on accident. I forgot the rule, but we'll take it down. But it is worth looking at diligent. It's that 140 billion missing from the big beautiful act that I could not figure. I couldn't see where it was allocated or nothing. I didn't know if it was foreign or what. Well, it's gonna go foreign. It's gonna go to, we're not gonna be able to talk about the president of Mexico anymore in specific ways that we're gonna be paying for. I think it's it's on the thing. I think was like 69% of it will be for Ukraine, which comes out to, okay, so Israel's 5 billion, Taiwan, and all the other little countries down there are 9. It's up in the jumbo, dude. But it's the ridiculous amount of Ukraine money that makes me kind of think that maybe this ceasefire is going to go through for a little bit longer, because I broke down the numbers. Since 1948, there has been 1,200 HRs, like resolutions between the United States and Israel. So you got 45 laws, and it's the equivalent to $336 billion in aid or whatever like that we get. But Ukraine is steadily catching up to that. So it's very odd. It makes me think of Nazi's word, that Bolshevism kind of thing, because they're giving a lot of money. But also another thing to take into consideration.
That's like your new trigger word, bro. Like that thing you were saying in every space. It has
bro, that shit. But no, Hasbro. Israel has the right to defend itself.
That was the trigger word for a while, and now it's Bolsheviks. You've migrated, but that's okay. I just hear it every other word in every space now.
The Bolshevik Revolution is something to look at. It's 20 to 60 million Christians that died right there. But the thing is, it's like it makes me think that, like, okay, so they're allocating more money over here, but then again, if you look further into it, not only do they not have to, adhere to
it's all faking gay, bro. It's all faking gay.
No, but listen to this. This shit's crazy. So you got to look into that bill. The nuclear thing, the NPT and the IAEA. Well, Israel doesn't have to they don't have to get down with it and everything and claim anything or whatever, but they can't be discriminated against and taken, and they get to reap the benefits. Also, everybody that has went from of Jewish heritage from Ukraine that went to Israel during this the Russian war or whatever, because there was a little deal given there, we will be funding that as well. And there's so many grants and shit, dude.
Man,
like, this is gonna break America.
I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to cut in, but how fucking powerless are you?
Yeah, that bill's a black hole.
Runs the whole fucking world. Like, there's a reality to this. And I don't participate in a lot of these conversations because you guys don't love nuance. You want to point a finger at something.
I appreciate nuance.
Do you want to argue something? A point?
Let Capital respond. Coyote, let Capital respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's kill all the Jews. Let's figure out where to point the finger.
Well, don't say that in my space. You're not going to say that in my space. Okay, you want to have a serious conversation. You're not going to make statements like, don't do that again, bro. I'll boot you out.
I'm sorry, Diligent. I was getting hyperbolic.
I was speaking about the Hasbro. I have not said Jew one time.
How many people do we need to get rid of? How many people do we point a finger at before?
All right, one person on the mic. It's Capital J.
My question is, how many people do we point a finger at and get rid of before we're pointing a finger at yourself? Like, that's the thing here.
Who suggested getting rid of people?
Okay.
No, I'm asking you a direct question. Who suggested that?
I didn't say anyone suggested that. But I'm saying,
you just
if every ill in the world is the responsibility of this fractured...
Bro, that was a sick comment, and that came out of your mouth.
That was set up as a destabilization
force in the Middle East, which
Don't start stuttering now,
100%
okay?
disagree with.
He's
Because I don't want a global caliphate.
Get your connection sorted out. I'll bring you
Okay,
back up.
here, I'll talk bad about Iran.
We're done. I'm
Nigeria.
Done. I'm getting exhausted. I'm getting fatigued on the whole
Bad
Jew
Muslim.
thing.
Bad Muslim.
Okay, I want you to everybody read every single word up in the Jumbotron or up in the title. It says Qatar Airbase in USA, Kirk murder and Epstein cover-up and police state. If you have your hand up, it needs to be relevant to one of those things up in the title. I'm moving away from it now. It's toxic. It's too fucking toxic. Let's go to Patriot.
But that was just the HR, brother. Like, you know, I was reading the HR.
Mute up. Go ahead, Patriot.
Hi, everybody. I guess a couple of points. So what our Qatari insider friend here brought up a while ago, regarding that bombing that happened in his country from Israel, right? So the logical conclusion is Israel bombed Qatar for their own interests at the detriment of American interests. And I guess this is the fallout, right? We have an airbase here in Idaho because otherwise we would lose the hegemony over there, in the Gulf states. So I just want to bring that point up, and also, like in the beginning of the space, I know it's not really directly related to the title, but you mentioned the two camps, right? The pro-Israel and the anti-Israel camps, and you said that the anti-Israel camps are Hamas and Palestinian supporters. That's not necessarily true.
I didn't make that generalized statement. I just included them in them.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I just want to mention there are people that are not necessarily pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian, but they're fed up of the grip that foreign nation has on our country, right? Or Western countries in general. So yeah,
I'm pro-American. I'm not pro anything else but American.
That's fair, Patriot. That's fair. All right, cool. Let's go to... This should be interesting. Let's go to James and then history.
Thank you, Diligent. I just came up. I was waiting for all the other hands. But thank you. I appreciate it. Love you, brother. This is the most amazing space. We have so much tension, right? Between everybody. It's very strange. Your spaces hold so much truth that anybody paying attention is going to be like thoroughly satisfied, because we have all these different characters that come up that's been here for years, and they expose themselves.
Oh my gosh!
Every time, right? Good or bad, are equal. But I'm loving this. So I'm learning so much.
Thank you, James. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Move on.
Yep, appreciate.
All right, let's go to history.
God, I need to have what he's drinking.
For real.
Oh my gosh.
Was that QAnon?
That motherfucker's on it.
I don't know. He seems very happy. Anyway.
He's always a happy character.
I love it. I think it's great. Anyway, my thing is, one, I don't want anyone from Qatar. I prefer Qatar. And I just don't believe in any of that. I'm sorry, to anyone who has their whole reasoning behind why they think they should be here. I just don't. I don't think we should be funding any of that. But you can learn how to fly your own stuff in your own country. Just my opinion. But mine was more about the police state, because I just tagged you. So in Miami, they're starting the PUG program, and I tagged you in the Purple Pill. And it's a police car that's AI driven, and it has thermal and plate readers, and then it ejects a drone so it can go overhead. That's petrifying to me. I'm sorry. Is this really the way that we're going? This has been my big thing with all of this. Everything, the constant chaos is just behind the scenes. All of this surveillance state constantly being pushed. And, what scares me is, where I am, they already use Carbine 911 and they're still using it without even letting us know they're using it. And now they're doing this pug program. So just look into that. I thought it's kind of scary.
I don't see the tag, but I'll look for it after the space is over. All right, you guys, I think I have so if you want to support what I'm doing, the best way you can is by turning all notifications on for my profile. Turn the bell on, hit all posts. That way when I host a space, it pings you. And if I post any of the news content surrounding like Epstein or Charlie Kirk, make sure you share that out. And if you want to subscribe, there is a pink button on my profile. I do subscriber only after spaces to all.
Alright, so I'm going to jump over here to Ryan Matta's space. I'm probably going to restream this in the morning. But they got off on some weird ass shit last time on this shit. Hopefully it's not weird as fuck. But there are some big heavy hitters that come over here to Ryan Matta's space. So I want to jump in over here and see what the fuck is going on.
A medical degree, I believe, at the University of Missouri, Columbia, or one of those schools. It's in the video. I can't remember. It's less important. But the point is she was recently, before she was hired to come to Utah, she was in Missouri in Boone County. And she was married to a guy named Jason Weiss, it appears. And I was able to find the divorce records online for the dissolution of their marriage, where that indicates they have kids. I was also able to find his identity online, and he has several aliases. One of Jason, so her ex-husband, so Deidre Amaro, the Utah State Medical Examiner, her ex-husband in Missouri is named Jason Weiss. Okay, Jason Weiss. Their lawyer for their divorce proceedings was Benjamin, I believe, I forget what his name was. I think it was like Benjamin Abraham Jacobson Benjamin Jacob Bramwell or something. It's a Jewish name. They had a Jewish lawyer, okay? That's the upshot. And so I looked at Jason Weiss's aliases, and he's got several anglicized aliases. One of them is Jimmy Pounds, like literally pounds, right? It's an Anglo measure, right? So, I thought that was sort of interesting that here's a guy possibly Jewish, Jason Weiss, that's a Jewish surname, common Jewish surname. He retained a Jewish lawyer for their divorce proceedings. And he's got several aliases that are very anglicized. And we know that Jews commonly will anglicize their names. So I thought that was very interesting. So it's plausible that she herself is Jewish. You guys can be the judge. We don't know. We're still researching it. But it looks like she was married to probably a Jew. And her kids would therefore be part Jewish. Okay, so that's Deidre Amaro. Well, how did she find her way to Utah? Well, she gets divorced. Her divorce is finalized on May 14th, 2024. So about a year and a half ago. Again, everybody, I know I'm gonna hit you with a lot of dates and timeline stuff, but that's the theme tonight: time and timing and timelines, right? So this divorce happens on May 14th, or May 16th rather, and then on May 14th, right around the same time, basically at the same time, she's going through these divorce proceedings. She's being hired by the state of Utah. And she basically gets hired. Her hiring is announced on May 14th, 2024. And she's hired by the deputy director of the Utah Department of Health and Human Services by a doctor by the name of Michelle Hoffman. Okay. Dr. Michelle Hoffman's parents were Holocaust survivors during World War II. Okay, so there are something like 6,000 Jews in the state of Utah, and the deputy director of the Utah State Department of Health and Human Services is a Jew, and she hired this new medical examiner from Missouri, who possibly also is a Jew. Okay, so make of that what you will, but it's just one more case of you go down this rabbit hole and it turns into a rabbi hole. Okay. And then we learned that somebody in Israel was searching for her on June 30th of this year. Now, so that's sort of what I've been able to learn about Dr. Deidre Amaro, the medical examiner for the state of Utah, who I guess conducted the autopsy on Charlie Kirk. that Candace said did not find a full bullet. Right, so there's something going on there. We don't know. We have to wait. We have to get more details. But just be aware that there is a Jewish role in getting this Dr. Deidre Amaro in place. Okay, that's what you need to know. Now, pause, take a breath. Right, that all went down a year and a half ago. So if you're thinking timing, people are like, Sam, if Israel did do this or somebody did do this, there was a conspiracy. Like, when was the conspiracy hatched? How far back does it go? Well, that's interesting. And so I put together a Josh Hammer timeline, a Josh Hammer, Charlie Kirk timeline, and that's the second tweet in the nest. That's the second tweet in the nest. Now we're moving to a third tweet, the second tweet in the nest, the middle tweet. Since Josh Hammer has emerged as, in my opinion, a person of interest over the last few days, for several reasons. So let's review. So put a bookmark there. We're going to come back to this Josh Hammer, Charlie Kirk timeline. Put a bookmark there for a second. Let's just get up to speed on Josh Hammer. Josh Hammer was in a group chat with Charlie Kirk for a long time. And it was in that group chat that Charlie said that he had no choice but to drop the pro-Israel cause on September 8th, right? 2 days before he's assassinated. Josh Hammer knew that. He's known that the whole time. And Candace Owens and other people were saying that Charlie was changing his positions on Israel. And Josh Hammer, over the last month, has literally been going on podcasts and tweeting up a storm, calling people like Candace Owens liars about that Charlie was doing no such thing. It's fake. And they're lying. Well, then Candace, a few days ago, produced the screenshots of where Charlie says, literally, I'm going to have to drop the pro-Israel cause. And it turns out that Josh Hammer has been lying this whole time about that, right? But it gets worse because the night before the assassination, he now infamously retweeted Donald Trump's 12-year-old tweet about public executions. That raised people's eyebrows. And then again the next day on the 10th, just a couple hours after the assassination, he retweets again cryptically with no context, public execution. All right, so this went massively viral the other day after I posted it. Candace picked it up. She did a whole episode on it. She dug into it even deeper. And he's been plugging his book. He's been lying about what Charlie was saying in the background and the lying about Candace and the truth. And he's got these cryptic tweets that sandwich around the assassination, calling for public execution. What is this all about? So this put him on our radar, right? This put him on our radar as a person of interest. So I went back and I looked, okay, what's been going on with Josh Hammer and Charlie Kirk? And so we'll go back to the timeline, the second tweet in the nest. And I just want to review this timeline. And, then we can discuss it, I suppose. But Josh Hammer, in a recent podcast since Charlie Kirk's assassination, he admitted that he started getting close to Charlie Kirk about a year and a half ago. Okay? About a year and a half ago that he said, I started talking to Charlie, reaching out to him and interacting with him regularly and going on podcasts and streaming with him and these types of things, right? Regular interactions. That began about a year and a half ago. Well, if you're doing the math, about a year and a half ago is somewhere in April or May of 2024. Which I found very interesting because, a lot of people have speculated, was Josh Hammer Charlie's handler? If he's talking to him all the time, he's in this group chat, they're talking frequently, maybe every day sometimes. And he's been out here like basically sort of spinning his own narrative about who Charlie was and what he was doing. And people are like, and he's the guy that Charlie was going to for advice, for help. And people are like, well, is Josh Hammer Charlie's handler, perhaps? Well, if he is, then he became Charlie's handler about a year and a half ago. And I found that interesting because at the same time he's becoming Charlie's handler, that's around the same time that the Jewish doctor Michelle Hoffman is hiring the possible Jewish doctor Deidre Amaro, around the same time. So make of that what you will, but that's the timing. That's how the timing works out, okay? So, we can speculate, if Josh Hammer is Charlie's handler, why is he getting, assigned to him or latching on to him about a year and a half ago? How long have they been thinking about this? What has been their goal? Probably it starts out, if we're speculating, it starts out as, well, let's let's see if we can get Charlie back on the plantation. Let's see if we can get him back under control, back under our thumb. And they've been trying to do that, right? So now let's proceed through the timeline. So that was a year and a half ago. Josh Hammer begins to be in regular contact with Charlie Kirk, April or May 2024. Let's fast forward then to May of 2025, where Charlie wrote this several pages long letter to Benjamin Netanyahu, essentially criticizing him. Let's be honest. I mean, it was diplomatic, but I mean, he was basically saying that, Israel's not getting the job done here. It was criticism, right? It was criticism delivered to Benjamin Netanyahu, Mr. King, genocidal maniac. Now, we have since learned that Josh Hammer knew about this letter, okay? But he remained silent about it. And in the meantime, when other people were referring to this letter, he was calling people like Candace Owens liars when they referenced its existence, okay? So he was mum. Josh Hammer was mum about that letter for months. He knew about it, okay? So that was May. We learned from Erica Kirk that over the past year, Charlie Kirk had been receiving numerous death threats to the point where he stepped up his security, okay? And that was in a New York Post article that interviewed Erica Kirk 2 or 3 weeks ago, okay? So Charlie's been getting death threats, numerous death threats, to the point where he stepped up his security. And we learned from his Bill Maher episode earlier this year that his security team was Israeli. And apparently, I guess people say, they've been tweeting about this, that has since been scrubbed from the Bill Maher episode, that segment. It was originally there, it's been taken out. Okay, so keep that in mind, that over the last year, Charlie Kirk has been receiving numerous death threats. Then on July 13th of this year, Josh Hammer went on the debate stage at the TPUSA event, July 13th, with Dave Smith, okay? And Dave Smith told this story about how they were all chummy and friendly in the green room beforehand, and saying, oh yeah, this is going to be a great debate. It's going to be a good discussion. We've debated before. It's very friendly. You don't got to worry about us. Very cordial and everything. And then they got on the debate stage, and Josh Hammer took out a piece of paper with like Dave Smith quotes and tweets and just attacked him, and basically said, and literally said that he was disgusted to have to even share the stage with Dave Smith. This was on July 13th. And so Dave said, this guy is a snake. He is very comfortable with lying, and I don't trust him for shit. That's like an exact quote. That's what Dave Smith said about Josh Hammer about the events of July 13th. Josh Hammer's duplicitousness, Josh Hammer's treachery, and how he treated Dave and Charlie in the green room before the debate, and then on the stage in front of people. We should also remember that since April 2024 at least, so there's that date again, April 24th, right? A year and a half ago, Josh Hammer began attacking Tucker Carlson, calling him the most dangerous anti-Semite in American history, okay? And just for context, I mean, we got people like Henry Ford, Charles Lindbergh, George Lincoln Rockwell, David Duke, many others, many notorious arch anti-Semites in American history. But no, he says the most dangerous one is Tucker Carlson. And in that same July 13th TPUSA event, Charlie also platformed Tucker Carlson. So I have to ask myself, how unhappy was Josh Hammer over Charlie Kirk platforming both Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson, right? Well, we know now that from that Hamptons meeting on August 4th and 5th, that Charlie got into some pretty heated discussions, including with Josh Hammer. And allegedly, one of the points of contention was literally the platforming of Tucker Carlson. They did not like it. They were very mad about it, and they got into some heated discussions about it. Okay? That was at the Hamptons meeting. So, again, timing, this TPUSA event was July 13th. And I do find it interesting that all of these Israeli searches of Timpanogos hospital surgeons started happening on July 14th. Okay? TPUSA was that weekend of the 13th and 14th, and on the 14th, somebody in Israel searching up all these Timpanogos surgeons. Very interesting. Okay, so we're at the Hamptons meeting, August 4th and 5th. Allegedly, Charlie, during that meeting, so he got into a heated discussion with Josh Hammer over Tucker Carlson. Then he allegedly turned down a bunch of money from Netanyahu, right? This $150 million. Which I don't know for sure if that's been confirmed, but I don't know that it's been debunked either. So I think it's kind of a yes on that he turned down some money. And then the next day after the Hampton retreat, he goes on with Megyn Kelly. And I found it interesting that he actually said that he was being emotionally blackmailed over his choices regarding how he's supporting Israel. He literally used the term blackmail. Okay. And, we're going to be talking about Epstein later tonight, which is a case of basically an Israeli-Jewish blackmail ring. These people, this is what they do. They operate through blackmail, right? And Charlie Kirk, by all accounts, was a good man, right? He was a good man, in many ways a pure soul, maybe even a little naive about some things, but he was a good Christian man in many ways. And I don't think that they were able to blackmail him. This is why they resorted to emotional blackmail and trying to bribe him and buy him with more money, right? And lean on him. He couldn't be blackmailed. And now we know that he couldn't be bought because he was willing to give up Jewish donors, right? He was willing to give up Jewish donors. That's notorious now. We know that he was using millions of dollars in Jewish donors, and he was willing to do that. So Charlie Kirk was not blackmailable, and he was not bribable or buyable, right? So this is a problem if your guy here is kind of going a little rogue, going a little independent. He's showing his willingness to turn down money, and you can't blackmail him. But you're emotionally blackmailing him. And so I found that interesting that happened on August 6th with the Megyn Kelly interview, where he said he was being emotionally blackmailed. Then in mid-August, sometime in August, Charlie tells multiple people that he thinks Israel might try to kill him if he turns on them. And I just want to pause there for a second, that if you're actually telling people in private that you think a foreign country is going to kill you or might kill you, I suggest that we're not privy to all the information and developments and conversations, because that's a radical thought to have. That's a radical thought to have if you're Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has been super pro-Israel for many, many years, right? He's gotten millions and millions of dollars from Jewish donors. He loves the Jewish people. He loves Israel. He's always talking about it. He's always defending them. But he also is telling people now in private, in the background, that, well, I think Israel might try to kill me if I ever turn against him. So I just want people to think about what must have been happening in Charlie's relationships and in his life and in his mind for it to be going that far in his mind where he's like actually verbalizing that idea to people, unironically, right? Because we now know that that word got to Harrison Smith, who posted that famous tweet in sort of mid to late August, right? That where Charlie said, they might kill me if I ever turn against them. And I've not been able to find any documentation. Somebody can maybe do this dig for me if you want, but I've not found any documentation where Charlie disputed Harrison's tweet. So, Harrison put that tweet was up for 2 or 3 weeks before Charlie was murdered. And I don't think Charlie debunked that, or said, no, this isn't true. Right. So now let's fast forward. And by the way, keep in mind, remember, his wife has said that he's been receiving death threats for the last year, and he's beefed up his security. And at the same time, he's been receiving these death threats and beefing up his security. He's also thinking and telling people, I think Israel might try to kill me if I turn against him. So I'm very curious about these death threats. I would like a full disclosure of these death threats. Okay, let's fast forward to September 8th now. 2 nights before the assassination. That's when Charlie posted the message in the chat that Josh Hammer were part of, and Rabbi Willicke was a part of. They were both part of this chat. And Charlie said, I have no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause. Now, both of those men, Rabbi Willicke and Josh Hammer, remained silent about that ever since then. They did not divulge that group chat. They did not divulge what Charlie said. They've remained silent about it and actually obfuscated, and at least in the case of Josh Hammer, have called people liars for reporting that. So that was September 8th. Okay. Then the next day, September 9th, the night before the assassination, Charlie had this Zoom call with Josh Hammer and Rabbi Willicke and I guess some of Charlie's staff. And we don't know the details about that Zoom meeting except what Hammer and Willicke have told us. And allegedly they tell us that it was, they were discussing Charlie's upcoming campus tour and honing his talking points, because they say, well, he gets so many questions about Israel. He was really concerned about honing his talking points. But curiously, here's what the curious thing is. Josh Hammer posted a screenshot yesterday of a message with Charlie, and he asked him where the tour was starting at. And Charlie had to tell him, well, it was starting at UVU. So I find it odd that the night before Charlie's kicking off this big tour, this big important tour, and he's having this big important chat with Rabbi Willicke and Josh Hammer the night before to get ready for this tour, somehow it didn't come out that he was starting his tour tomorrow in Utah. Like, they didn't know that. He didn't know that. He had to, text him and ask him. I thought that was odd. The other odd thing was that Hammer, he made a little crack about say hi to Antifa, your Antifa friends or whatever. And I thought that was kind of on the nose, I thought that was a little on the nose given the context of these public execution tweets, which I guess we'll cover now. So hold on to the Antifa crack. Because also that same night, I think after that Zoom call, Charlie goes to dinner with Erica and one of their faith leader friends, okay? And we know this from a New York Post article. They went to dinner that night after the Zoom call. And they both encouraged Charlie to increase his personal security. Erica suggested he wear a bulletproof vest, and his faith leader friend suggested he put up some bulletproof glass. I just think that's wild. Like, how far are these death threats progressing that they've known about these death threats for a while. Charlie's beefed up his security, but now the night before, they're like, you need bulletproof armor, bro. Like, what's worrying them so much? Well, Charlie himself is connecting these death threats to Israel because, as also being reported, by Candace Owens, and she has yet to produce the actual receipts on this, but allegedly he texted multiple people also that night, September 9th, that they're going to kill me. That was the quote. Charlie texted people saying, they're going to kill me. It's cryptic. We don't know what it means. We don't know who they is. We do know that he had previously, within a few weeks, been saying Israel might try to kill him. So, some people have been doing some math. They're like, well, if he was saying 2 weeks ago that Israel might try to kill him, and now he's saying they're going to kill me, maybe they is Israel, right? Like, that's who they usually is these days, right? Okay. So then on September 9th, so all this stuff is happening on September 9th. He's at dinner. He's getting these death threats. They're telling him to wear bulletproof armor. He's having this Zoom call. Josh Hammer's quote tweeting 12-year-old Trump tweets about public executions, right? Charlie's texting people saying they're going to kill me. This is all happening on September 9th. It's crazy. Then the next day, of course, Charlie's assassinated. And Josh Hammer once again cryptically tweets out public execution without any context. Well, that's odd. It's odd. Now, he and his defenders have been saying that, well, when he quote tweeted Donald Trump on September 9th, that the night before, this was in relation to Irina Zarutska, because Irina Zarutska was trending at the time, and so it had to do with Irina Zarutska. That's what they're saying. They've remained very, very quiet on why he tweeted it again after Charlie's assassination. Was Irina still on his mind after Charlie was just been assassinated? Is that what that was? I don't know. You be the judge. Also, we learned from Andrew Colbert, Charlie's close confidant and associate at TPUSA, that Andrew Colbert himself sent this same group chat screenshots from September 8th, where Charlie says, I have no choice but to drop the pro-Israel cause. Andrew Colbert himself sent those screenshots to the FBI immediately, he says. So the day Charlie was assassinated, like, why did Andrew Colbert think that a text chain conversation from 2 days ago about, Charlie dropping the pro-Israel cause, why did he send those screenshots to the FBI? Why did he think that those would be relevant in the immediate aftermath of the assassination? Especially when the emerging narrative was a crazy leftist must have done it. Why did Andrew Colbert think that it would be relevant to send those screenshots of that chat to the FBI? I thought that was very, very interesting. Remember I was saying, like, what must be happening in Charlie's life and in his mind for him to be telling people openly that I think Israel might try to kill me if I go against him? Like, there's things we're not privy to. And this is sort of a little red flag indicator that Colvin was aware of more than he's telling, because he's sending these Israel-related screenshots from a group chat from a few days ago to the FBI, like right after the assassination. Why does he think they're relevant? Well, he knows something that we don't. He knows context that we don't. I think that's what's going on. Okay, moving on. Again, the entire month since that group text message on September 8th, Josh Hammer's been silent about that and been calling everybody liars for saying that Charlie had changed his mind in Israel. Anyway, going back to this screenshot now, where he warned Charlie about his Antifa friends. Yes, that happened yesterday. He publishes this screenshot where it's revealed that after the Zoom call, he didn't know where Charlie was starting his tour the next day, Utah. And then he said, hey, say hi to your Antifa friends. And I thought that in the context of this 2 public execution tweets, specifically referencing Antifa, that's what you chose your parting shot to Charlie that night was a crack about Antifa. I thought, and then the next day, Antifa basically is framed, or Trantifa is framed for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I thought that was just a little on the nose, especially in the context of these public execution tweets. I thought that was just a little suspicious. So, at the end of the day, there's your timeline. What's going on with Josh Hammer? I say this in my tweet here. If I ran the FBI, I would be so far up this guy's business, he'd be brushing his teeth with Preparation H. Okay, that's how far up Josh Hammer's business I'd be. And that's how far up his business I am right now, because as far as I'm concerned, this guy is a loose cannon, and he's suspicious, and I don't know what's going on, but there is a lot of odd stuff happening on this timeline. So, Ryan, there it is. There's the timeline. There's the Josh Hammer relationship. There's Dr. Deidre Amaro. There's the weird internet searches from Israel. What does it all add up to? I don't know yet, but it looks pretty damn suspicious.
Damn, Sam Parker, guys, I'm telling you, I was just texting Maze. Maze just texted me like, holy shit, Sam is so good at this. And I go, I know, I would be these spaces would be nothing if it wasn't for the men that do this work, specifically Sam Parker. It's like every day that I put this space together, I'm literally just interested in what Sam has to say. Like literally, I just look forward to it. Almost like I'm sitting here like looking forward to Candace's going live at 5 p.m. I'm like, oh, God, I can't wait for Sam to unpack everything that he's done, man. You did such a good job. And we have the legendary... Nick Bryant has just joined us. He actually joined us a little bit early. I was going to jump into him at 8 or at 9. I'm not moving on. I was just going to give him I just wanted to give Nick a huge big shout out. We're going to get to him here in just a minute. But yeah, Sam, man, you're absolutely crushing it, brother. Holy cow. How long did it take you? How long have you been working on that?
I just want to say thanks. I appreciate it. I've been working, every day I put hours into this. It takes hours to do the research. It takes hours to think about it and make sense of it. And then it takes a long time to type it all out or produce the videos. It's just what we do. This is what I do. So I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you that. But I'm not the only one doing this. Mel's doing it. Gen X Girl's doing it. Ian Malcolm's doing it. You're doing it. There's so many people doing it, right? It's truly Ian Carroll's doing it. Candace is doing it. Her team's doing it. I mean, there's just so many people. Like tonight, I got a tip from Shelly. I'm going to give Shelly a shout out. Shelly. Her @is realshelly_2. You can find it in the
she's actually right there in the stage with us.
Yeah,
right down
yeah. And if you go up to the first tweet in the nest where the Charlie Kirk bombshell, in that thread, I link her. She's the one that gave me that tip today. And so, I went and ran it down and put it together in a video to present to everybody. But that came from Shelly, right? That came from her. And I do get tips and people pointing stuff out to me, and that helps. It's really been a team endeavor. To do this, right? And if we ever do get to the bottom of this and unravel it, it will be because of the work of so many people. Blake, I saw Blake tapped out today tragically because Jews have been harassing him. That's terrible. That's sad. But he's done so much work. Dr. Chris Martinson's done so much great work. I mean, we just go on and on and on and on and on. There's just so many people. It's such a group effort, and I just try to I got my little corner here. I got my little slice, and I'm trying to bring it. I'm trying to keep up with everybody, and it's exhausting and it's very hard, but I don't want to be the weak link, so I'm trying to bring it, and keep me honest, guys. And if you have tips, send them my way and I'll do what I can with them.
Sam, you are super talented, okay? You are able to draw it together like a story and help people fill in all the blanks that they might have from just following certain people. And there's gaps, you just fill in all the gaps. And that was excellent. I feel completely caught up now. And thank you. And guys, repost the space. Make sure that you tune in next week, because with Candace Owens off for 2 weeks, we are going to have, Ryan and Sam putting together shows to cover all of the new developments that the whole world is bringing together and putting out there. So make sure you tune in for that and repost the space. And Ryan, did you want to go to, we do have a hand up before we switch gears.
Yeah, Doctor, if you want to jump in here and ask Sam one question, then we'll jump right into Nick Bryant, and then we got Truth Teller up here as well. So I'm really excited for this next part. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This has been very, very enlightening, and it's clicked a few different pieces into place for me. One of which is there seem to be two kind of important points in the timeline that we have to focus on. And one, it seems like we have a lot of information for, and the other one, maybe we need to find more information about. And in a space a couple days ago, Mays was asking if they could rush the Charlie assassination due to the text messages that Charlie wrote 2 days before his assassination. And I think now we're realizing with all this information about the search history in DC and Israel that the assassination was planned potentially months in advance. At the very least, it sounds like it was in mid-July, but maybe even earlier. And there's another Utah event that actually happens about 2-3 weeks after. It's a Turning Point USA Utah event that happens about 2 or 3 weeks after the one where Charlie was shot at. And people were talking about, this might have been a few weeks ago, it didn't really get much traction, but people were talking about how weird it was that Tyler Robinson was closer to this other Turning Point USA event, and that these Turning Point USA events in Utah were not back to back. And so I have some suspicion that their original intent was to have Tyler be the patsy at this other Turning Point USA event that was closer to his house, closer to where he lived, but they had to rush it due to those text messages that came out a couple days before this one Utah event. Now, that was interesting, and I was researching some of the things, and I really have to go back and listen to this recording because Sam just was throwing so much knowledge, so many facts out there. It looks like the Student Action Summit, where Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith spoke. Tucker spoke on July 11th, and Dave Smith spoke on July 13th. And so that completely aligns with what Sam was talking about with the search history of them starting to look up hospitals within the Utah area on, I think he said, July 14th. So there seems to be, they became really honed in after Dave Smith and after Tucker Carlson were allowed at this Student Action Summit. It seems like the forces working against Charlie really honed in on, they gave the green light that this assassination had to have happened. Now, that's one major point in the timeline. That seems to be where like the green light was actually given for the assassination in that mid-July timing. The other one, though, that Sam brought up, which was related to this Michelle Hoffman and this Deidre person that was about a year and a half ago. And so maybe I just missed it. I'm trying to take notes, but Sam was just throwing so much stuff out there. I'm going to have to listen to the recording to catch it all. But do we know why they might have been setting things up a year and a half ago to potentially take out Charlie Kirk? Why were they putting these people in place like Deidre and stuff like that? Like, do we have any idea about that?
I'll just weigh back in on that. That's what I was trying to, and maybe because I was throwing out so much information like a fire hose, it got lost in translation. But that was kind of my point. If Josh Hammer is being assigned to Charlie Kirk essentially to become his handler about a year and a half ago, that means that they're already concerned about Charlie a year and a half ago. They're already concerned about him. And if we rewind back to October, 10/7/2023, when Charlie notoriously, basically calls out the IDF and Netanyahu and Israel, like, did they let this happen? Did they let this attack happen? Was there a standout order? What's going on there? He was attacked. He was viciously attacked and called an anti-Semite and dangerous. At the same time, he had attacked left-wing Jewish NGOs and the ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt and hate speech censorship. And they were calling him an anti-Semite. He was getting attacked back in the mid to late fall of 2023 for being this big anti-Semite. Well, then the early part of 2024, he gets assigned Josh Hammer. So the sort of the picture that I have in my head is that they're already concerned about Charlie. They don't like some of the things he's been saying. They don't like how he's been, coming out against some Jewish power here. They're very concerned. So they place Josh Hammer to sort of like, maybe let's just get him back under control, or let's find out if he can be controlled. It's like they're not ready to write him off, but they don't know what to do. So we get him a handler, and then parallel processing. We begin the planning stages. We begin to make arrangements, right? So they maybe you get your corner in place, right? Because you got to have corner. You're going to need your corner. So it's a parallel plan. We're going to get into the planning stages and arrange the pieces. We're not necessarily going to execute the plan, but we're going to start arranging it, getting in motion. At the same time, we're getting him a handler because maybe the handler will be successful. At the very least, he's going to deliver intelligence to us, give us progress reports, tell us where things are at. And so that's the kind of picture that I'm having in my head, that there's this parallel processing going on. There's planning going on, and then there's handling going on at the same time. And at some point, like, they decide that perhaps this is not salvageable, he's got to go, and it's greenlit.
Yeah, that sounds completely correct, Sam. I'm that really puts it into place for me that December 2023, you said, was when Charlie started to go on different interviews and talk about how suspicious he was that October 7th was allowed to happen. So that really fits the timeline there. And I completely agree with you. I forgot to mention it earlier, but that Josh Hammer, him coming in as the handler, it just makes complete and total sense that they're planning, if they can't actually get him in line, but they're going to try to get him in line with this handler. And so that everything aligns for me. So I need to go back and see when he started to become suspicious, things like that about.
Yeah, and this is where, like I said the other night, where people, if you want to make a contribution, like, start combing Josh Hammer's Twitter timeline, his YouTube broadcast, other appearances. Like, what was he doing and saying throughout this time? You know, what were other prominent Israelis and Jews, saying about Charlie Kirk during this time? And let's find other important touch points, right?
Thank you, Sam.
No, thank you, Sam. And thank you, Doctor. God bless you guys, man. This is, I love how this conversation's going, and I'm super excited to transition over here. So we have Nick Bryan. If you guys are just joining us, please, especially if you're interested and you guys want to put more attention, you guys want to get more eyeballs on the Epstein investigation. I know that the Charlie Kirk and everything else that's going on is kind of taking a spotlight off it, but it's super important. It's probably also one of the second biggest investigations that, should be going on simultaneously with the Charlie Kirk investigation. And there's nobody that's been on the Epstein investigation, not a single person out in probably in the entire country, in the world, that has done more digging more extensively for a longer period of time than Nick Bryant. And then following that up would be Truth Teller, which is why I'm so excited to have both of them in the same space. Truth Teller, if I'm not mistaken, hasn't had the opportunity to speak with Nick Bryan. I don't know if Nick Bryan, I don't know if you understand or know who Truth Teller is, but this man he's an absolute legend in the space when it comes to researching. He is literally a walking encyclopedia. There's probably been few people on X who have done more research and deep dives. He's been running the Epstein files investigation. He's been doing Twitter spaces every night. He pulls in anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people pretty much every night consistently. So I'm super excited. He's also very, very knowledgeable in the subject. So I'm kind of excited to introduce you guys to each other and then kind of start the conversation off and then let you guys talk about it and kind of get to know each other. So Nick, why don't you come on in and introduce yourself to the stage and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started in digging into Epstein originally. And then we'll I'll jump over and let Truth ask you a few questions because I know he's been dying to talk to you. So thanks for coming up, brother. Honored to have you here. Is his mic on mute? Mike, is your mute on? Do that.
I don't hear him.
I don't hear him.
I can't hear him either.
Yeah, let me, so I'm
Hey,
gonna
first
move
of
you
all,
down. Nick,
hello,
and bring you
Ryan.
right back
Good
up.
to see you. And good to see everybody. It's good to see you, Truth Teller, Ian Malcolm, Sam Parker. Doctor, good to see you, by the way. And yeah, I mean, I don't hear him. Maybe we can recycle him. God bless you guys. Let's keep going.
Wolf, great to hear from you, brother. God bless you, man. I'm so excited. I love every time Wolf gets the co-host and jumps in here with us, man. He's one of my real homies. Wolf is the original man who pretty much held my hand. He runs the JQ spaces, and that was where I first started to understand how much power Israel really had control over our government. And the first people that kind of held my hand while I was afraid of back in the day to say the word Jew, and people would attack me for, calling them Zionist or saying it was Israel and not saying it was the Jews. And then, Wolf was the one who was defending me. He said, hey, he's new. He focuses on child trafficking. Just give him a break. He's one of the good guys. And they kind of just held my hand there until I really woke up and realized how bad this problem was and how entrenched in our society it had become. So I wouldn't be here doing the stuff I would be doing right now if it wasn't for him and the JQ guys over on JQ. Same with Truth, Ian Malcolm, Sam Parker, all of them over there. So these are the real heroes, and they're the ones who've been on the front lines from the very beginning. And it looks like we're going to try to get Nick back up here with a speaker space here in a second. The space is glitched from time to time. Of course, when it had anything to do with Epstein, we're always having issues, so it's nothing new. But he should be back up here in about a second or two, unless we have too many speakers. No, Nest isn't too full, so we should be good there. But go ahead, Maze. You want to take over for a second?
I just sent him the invite again. So Nick, right when you click request, there we go. It just beamed up. Let's do a mic check with you, Nick. You there? Nick?
Press that big red button to your left there. Looks like a microphone. And if not, check your settings. Go through your settings if you're on desktop and make sure you have the right audio output, because that is there could be a problem as well with the audio output on your laptop.
I just saw his mic turn on and off there for a second.
Input.
Yeah, if you're on desktop, there's definitely going to be issues. It's a lot harder to run these things on your desktop than it is if you're on your cell phone. Your cell phone makes it really easy. I saw you turn on and off your mic there a second ago, Nick. So we definitely can't hear you at this time. I'll keep talking, and then if you kind of jump in there, I'll say something. But I watched him unmute his mic, so I'm pretty sure he must be on his desktop if he's not coming in. Or if you got headphones in or you're connected to any other audio devices on your phone, that might be an issue as well. Normally it works, but that's most likely. I bet you're right. He's probably on his desktop, Wolf. And he's...
Yeah, go settings, go sound, and then choose where to play sound, and then go into input, and then whatever microphone you use for input or headphones you use for input, make sure you click on that. And when you click on that, you click on allow audio input and output as well. So like it's just will ask you that. Just do that. If it's through the desktop. Like I have that problem when I first came into the space too, and there you go. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, if not, just switch over to your cell phone and then you should be able to jump right in here. If you got your cell phone and you're able to get onto your X account from your cell phone, it'll make it really, really easy just to come up here. We got to get him up here, man. Nick's an absolute legend. So should be here in a second or two if he's and I don't know, do we have to cycle him again if he switched those settings on his computer, or will it just automatically?
No, it would be just fine. But I recommend if he does have a phone, just to fix it, just leave the space completely, open the X app, and come back to your phone. It just makes things easier, dude.
I wonder if he can hear us. Maybe message him. I don't know if...
Yeah, maybe he can't hear us. No, I don't know if he couldn't hear us, you'd leave the space. Truth Teller, why don't you jump in here and fill the space for a second? I'll try to DM Nick and get him up here.
I was just about to say the same thing, Ryan. Let's go to Truth Teller. He has always good things to say.
Look, okay, you got over 1,500 people here. If you like, I can give a bit of an overview of who Jeff Epstein was, how he rose up the ranks from an individual that came from very humble beginnings up to, at the very least, an Israeli military intel op, likely an FBI agent as well. He was absolutely cooperating with the FBI at one point. They say CIA agent as well, and also Mossad agent. This guy was working with many different intelligence agencies. One of my questions to Nick was going to be about specifying which one he was loyal to first foremost. And my guess is obviously Israeli military intel first, because, he was absolutely pro-Israel. And he supported a lot of their businesses, including, his very close relationship with Ehud Barak, and also his financial investment in both Palantir and also Carbine 9/11. So, I'll start with a little overview until hopefully Nick gets his mic sorted out. And Nick, if you're listening, definitely try to come in through your phone app. It'll be a lot easier. I think you'll be able to navigate much quicker that way. Is this his first space ever, Ryan, that you're aware of?
It might be, yeah. I don't recall hearing him in a space before that I know of. So this definitely might be his first time ever getting in one of these spaces. He normally comes in, and it was very easy. He was very good at when he came in through the desktop, and we did our interviews on. I think I used Wirecast. He was very familiar with it, so he should be able to switch over and come in on a different device. It shouldn't be too hard for him to do. So,
okay.
So Truth, why don't you give us the. Yeah, he just dropped down, so hopefully he'll come back up. Give us a rundown on where are you at kind of on the Epstein investigation. Just give us an overview on everything that you guys have been kind of digging into over the last couple of weeks or months since we've been, guys, the Trump administration's been blocking the Epstein list. Can you give us an update on all that?
Sure, you got it. So look, my take on this whole Charlie Kirk fiasco and how they've been handling it is that it serves as a great distraction, a diversion from having to answer questions about the Epstein files and the fact that now they refuse to declassify it. In addition to, of course, the other files they promised to fully declassify, 9/11 files, JFK, RFK, MLK, etc. But Epstein's a big one because we know Trump is in that list. Pam Bondi confirmed this. So did others as well. Judge Napolitano, among many others in the know. Elon Musk mentioned it famously in a tweet. And so he wants nothing to do relationship that Donald Trump had with Jeff Epstein. So he's being looked at right now as essentially a gatekeeper, a protector of these pedophiles to get to walk free. So it really doesn't add up that we know we have definitive evidence from the likes of Jean-Luc Brunel. We covered him in more detail yesterday. Some of them I go back to a second time because there's just so much information that that drips out. It's hard to locate at times, and the investigation's ongoing. And Jean-Luc Brunel, like the FBI confirms, he trafficked over 1,000 girls to Epstein, including 3 12-year-olds for his birthday. And he was a child predator. He was of course ran various modeling fronts, modeling agencies that served as fronts for human trafficking. He was at Karen Models, he was at Next Models, and then Epstein invested in MC Squared as well. That was based out of Tel Aviv and then Miami and New York. And he also co-founded another modeling agency in Ukraine of all places called One Mother. So all of these modeling agencies that we now learn were really just fronts for human trafficking. And it wasn't just Jean-Luc Brunel and Jeff Epstein that were involved. You also had the likes of Claude Haddad. You had, of course, the likes of John Casablancas, who Trump was very close to. He had elite models. He even signed up his own daughter, Ivanka, for elite models. We got into this yesterday. And he was known for, loving young girls, 14, 15-year-olds. And he would move to other countries to marry them. He was married 3 times. This is Trump's very good friends. And he also been accused of course, sexual abuse. Jean-Luc Brunel, of course, was accused multiple times. They even did a 60-minute special on him, and yet he was never arrested. And he also, one time famously wore...
Alright, I'm tired of streaming for the night. My phone's burning up. Y'all can go on X if y'all want to hear that. I'm actually going to jump in this space right here, but I'm not going to stream it. I'm shutting the stream down. I'm going to hang out with my people. Y'all have a good night.